Ready? Are you ready?
Are you?
Are the cameras on? Welcome to another episode of Inside with Outsiders. This is the first of our newest season, and I couldn't be more honored than to have Jerome Lamaar, the Style Monk, as our first guest. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's great because I've known you for a very long time. I believe
Too long.
I met you when you might have been underage when I met you.
Why do you say it like that?
I mean,
Like
okay,
so
let me
creepy.
rephrase, put a little context. I
Like-
met you in the club.
Yes.
Yeah, at Lotus.
Yes.
And you were working,
I was underage.
You were underage, 17, right?
I was about 17.
And you were working at Baby Fat at the time,
I sure
right?
was.
Okay.
Yes.
But let's step back a little bit. And I want to know where you're from. I know you're proud of where you're from, so shout it out.
I am. I'm from the Bronx, New York.
Mm-hmm.
4 generations. I always joke and say my ancestors came over as a bunch of white men and women, and now they got brown boys and girls because it's very intermingled. So 4 generations, Bronx born, second of 4 kids.
Okay.
I guess upper middle class. Parents they retired. My mom worked for the post office, and my dad is a high-ranking official in the military.
Yeah, I
So
remember
we were
seeing
that family.
And that's,
We went to Disney every year,
so that's like the all-American,
for real.
or maybe all New York Bronx is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't classify New York as all-American
Right.
per se.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something really quick, and it stands out in my mind. Your father's a military man.
Yes, sir.
And I love the relationship you have with your father. Yeah. And thinking about stereotypes of military men and their children, someone might think that you might have a rough relationship with your pops.
You know, it's up and down.
Yeah.
My dad is my dad.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what he's been through.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful for my relationship with my parents. Like, my mom is my girl. She drives me everywhere. She's
Right.
Mom Uber. I
Yeah.
call her like Mom Uber. Right?
That's right. You told me that.
Yeah.
One. Yeah.
So I'm very close with my parents. My dad is my dad. You know, he gave me a lot of gems. He gave me a lot of genetics. I look a lot like him. But yeah, I'm very grateful for my family across the board, and I look forward to seeing how I can like keep making sure they're happy and proud of me. So I've always been the goody two shoes, like for real. So growing up, they used to call me the golden child.
Explain that. Why?
Which is so funny because I have a round head. Hello. Very round head. I was always happy-go-lucky, and everyone loved me. And I just looked like the golden child, like the movie.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yes, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
So my parents would always, my mom especially, she still to this very day calls me her golden child. And I think that kind of narrative stayed with me throughout my entire life. And this person that was quite special. In my mind, I was always special because I was the second born, and I was loved, and I was adorable all the way, and I never had any problems. I was always very, very good in school.
What's your relationship like with your siblings?
We're so close. We all have
what are
tattoos.
they like? Really?
We all have the same tattoos in the same place, gotten in order. I love my siblings. We spoke every day.
How many tattoos do you have that are similar to the tattoos you have with your siblings?
Just one. I designed it as under my arm. I should show it.
Show it.
Should I show it?
Yeah,
it's gonna be like crinkly with the jacket.
Well, that jacket looks nice. By the way, we've got this amazing partnership with the North Face, as you might be able to tell.
Yeah.
Our gear, and that is a beautiful North Face tattoo.
But yeah.
Oh, I see. So you have 2 of 4, and everyone's like 1 of 4.
Yeah,
2.
and you see it, but we're 4 individuals. It's not Roman
Right.
numerals.
Right.
And so
okay.
my mom calls us the Fantastic Four because we're all very, very different people, and so we bring very different qualities to the table.
So where do you fall into that category?
I'm the mastermind. Hello.
And what are your siblings? So brothers, sisters. What do
I
you
have
have?
one older brother.
Yeah.
Then it's me, and then my 2 younger sisters. I think it's very interesting because I have this balance of being quite masculine, but also very balanced on the feminine side too. And that's what I think I was blessed with.
Right.
My jacket that I wore earlier, it's called a Marvelous Middle.
Okay.
Because that's what I was for
Beautiful
a long time.
jacket.
Thank you. Pink's my color.
Yeah.
And it's just this understanding of my place in the world, I think, and I always try to represent that everywhere I go. And how often can I push this narrative of saying it's okay to be both?
When did you embrace having both sides in the sense of like that understanding of that energy or whatever it goes? I mean, I've seen you, Jerome Lamaar, as you see yourself now, and then also Jerome Lamaar with the wig on. Jerome Lamaar with a wig. I'm not sure if
me.
Yeah, no, they are definitely both you.
Yeah.
I feel like the personas are very similar, but there is a bit of a change from you with the wig and you without. I mean, I've seen you wearing the Yankee cap with Tim's and really embracing the New York Bronx identity, and you know, someone that you might not want to cross paths with, like. But then there's also the very, you know, they're both stylish, but stylish wig, embracing the feminine energy. So when did you feel like you felt most comfortable embracing both, or I should say mainly the feminine side?
All my life.
Yeah.
I think growing up, there was this stupid thing growing up. Kids would ask, was I a boy or a girl? Because my features are nondescript. So growing up.
Did you have long hair as well?
I had like braids and,
right.
you know, so, and also my mannerisms are, what are you? What are you? You're a boy or a girl. That's what I would never forget the kids like asking, like, are you a boy or a girl in the park? Like growing up, I used to be like, I'm a boy, like want to be so hard.
Yeah.
You know, I did martial arts for that very reason. Mm-hmm. And as I grew older, my features changed and it stayed the same. I'm pretty much like, I still look the same, which is kind of magical, right? But this idea of being nondescript became my thing. And understanding it's okay to be both masculine and feminine, but just be a good person.
Right.
You know, and I think, and we all have those qualities. I think if people start to get rid of some of the labels, which is confusing a lot of people across genders, I think if we start to just represent ourselves in the way that we feel, things will be a lot easier for everyone.
You know, I think it's amazing that you've embraced this, but it could be tough in high school. Like, what hardships did you experience?
I went to Art and Design High School.
Oh,
Shout
well,
out
there
to
you go,
Art.
yeah.
Shout out to A&D.
Okay, so you always were.
I was always popular. I was always well-liked. I was an overachiever. Mm-hmm. And that is how I landed my opportunity to intern at Baby Fat at 15.
How did that happen?
Exactly.
And wait.
Yeah.
How did you know you wanted to do that? Like, how long did you know you wanted to be in fashion?
I'm a boring interview because my life is quite storybook. Okay, so here's how it went.
I mean, I wouldn't call it storybook. Because listen, how many people get to intern at Baby Fat for Kamora Lee Simmons at 15 or 16?
I know.
That's not storybook.
So
not that many people go to New York clubs. In New York they do, but I mean, a lot of people who watch this aren't going to be going to clubs at 17.
Exactly.
That's true. And the thing is, here's the fun part.
promoters, right?
Exactly. And the crazy part about the whole thing was, I just started drinking, like, in 2021. Mm-hmm. And everyone who knows me knows, it's like, oh, wow, Jerome, you just started drinking.
You know what's funny? People are so amazed or shocked when you don't drink. Like, I've never been a big drinker.
Yeah.
Not that I'd never drank before, but I've never been a big drinker.
Right.
So people
will
will show
scene, they just assume because you're in the party scene or whatever the social scene is that you will feel the need to drink, and I just didn't.
Or more.
I've never done drugs. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. You would never catch me with weed or anything. I'm that person.
So am I. And
that's why the golden child applies.
So I'll be the silver child. There you go.
There it is. Yes, the silver child.
You know? But it's funny because people, you know, my background having been nightlife. When I tell people, same as you, I've never tried a drug in my life. You never catch me with stuff on me because I don't have it on me.
Right.
People they're like, you know, I don't believe you. I'm like, it's okay if you don't believe me. I know.
I'm living my best life.
Exactly.
You enjoy yourself. If that's what you want to do, there's no problem. Enjoy it.
So tell me, how did you end up going from a high school kid who was in his art and design school to being an intern and then also on a reality TV show for that internship?
Yes. Well, that was later. So where do I start? Okay. So my mom came home from selling a fashion show with Hot 97 with a plum Baby Fat t-shirt. Now here, I'm giving you context, right? My mom was like mid-30s, early 30s, right? So like, she's like, let's say like her body, she was like a size 6, which is normal. That was like kind of big back then, right? Which is weird. Society is weird as crap. Yeah. Anyway, so here she is coming home from a fashion show with a plum baby fat t-shirt. And I will never forget the day when she said, "This is Russell Simmons' wife's fashion line." And in my mind, I'm saying, oh, no one wears Fat Farm.
Right.
You know, Sean John was it at that time, which is crazy to say out loud, but it's true. So at that time, this is what, 1999? Yeah. 1999. Here I am. Once she showed me the t-shirt, I said, oh, I'm supposed to work there. Because in my mind, I was supposed to be in Italy working for Versace. Or Prada.
No, I mean, those are brands that anyone into fashion would want to work for. But what made you say you wanted to work for
Because I knew it was close to home. So there was a vision that I started to have for myself that was, it is magical and I love it because this is the power of manifestation. And I'm very confident again now because I'm leaning into that more. So this is the perfect time to have this conversation because I did a lot of purging and soul searching and
we'll get to that because I know you've made big changes in your life.
Tremendous.
Personal and business, professional.
Yes. So where I am, and at this moment in time, I started having visions of Kimora Lee Simmons. And so my
prior to seeing this shirt.
Yep.
Wow.
My grandmother was around. And so I knew there was a knowing. The reason why I threw that in, my grandmother is very important. So I'll circle back later. There was a knowing that, and a vision in my mind of her face in this space that I knew but didn't know. And I kept saying, oh, well, I'm going to work for the company.
Right.
This was easy. It was like as clear as day.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me anything. And so here I am calling the office every day after school. Hi, I'm Jerome Rice. That's my name. I am Jerome Rice, and I want to work for the company. I am every day after school, like clockwork. They got to know my name.
How long were you doing this for?
Every day after school for about 6 to 8 months, maybe a year.
6 to
maybe
8 months every day.
It was a year, actually.
Wow. And
crazy. And I would work at Key Food. Key Food was my first official job. So this is me turning of age at 15 years old. As soon as I turned 15, I got my working papers, and I went to Key Food. Yeah. Now, here's the special part about Key Food. Key Food was where my mom worked when she was a teenager. So she's like, my nickname is Mookie. Mookie, just go to Key Food up the block where we were. And so I did. I was like, I need to get money. So the Gap didn't want to hire me. All these places didn't know what to do because I had no work experience. So here I am, walking up the block to Key Food, and because of the way I looked, I got hired on the spot because I didn't look like the other boys, and I didn't speak like the other boys, and I became the first male cashier ever.
At Key Food?
All the girls was on cashier, and all the boys was stock. So the owners, I guess, knew that I wasn't like the other boys. Hello, sugar.
What do you mean?
Sugar. And I had like twists and everything. I'm spitting. So this funny part of knowing, I knew I was going to get the job. I walked in. They were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. They trained me I got the job on the spot. Here I am, a few months later, every day I'm calling, and I'm telling everyone while I'm checking them in that they will come to see me, and I will sketch on the receipt paper, waiting for price checks. Right. And I'm telling my customers, they will line up just to see what I'm doing. And I will always wear the best clothes. Shirt and tie, and like tucked in, clean. All the boys would be sloppy, and I just hated that. It was a problem for me. And so here they are, everyone's lining up, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to be here very long because I'm going to work for Baby Fat.
Yeah.
There was a knowing. And so, you know, they would just check on me. Everyone would just line up to check on how I'm doing. And they were like, Jerome, how's it going? Well, we're getting closer. I'm going to work for Baby Fat. Stock. Yelling over the aisles. I'm going to work for Baby Fat. So y'all mother effers better hurry up because I need to get home so I can so I can call the office. This is late at night. I was calling the office at like 11 o'clock at night. Whatever. I just knew I was going to work for Baby Fat. My grandmother passes away. And I gave up.
You gave up the baby fat dream.
I gave up every dream. I just wanted to just be a high school student because I didn't think it was close enough for me. Baby fat wasn't close enough to me. Remember, I thought I was supposed to be at Versace or in Italy doing Prada. You know, like those are the brands I wanted.
Yeah.
Baby fat seemed so far away at this point.
Can you give me some timeline as far as how old you were?
15.
15.
My grandmother passed when I was 15. So 15 is when my life shifted.
Yeah.
So she would always tell me, look for your number, 531, which is my birth number, right? My birthday.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that later. But
That's my mother's birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's signs. So on my way here, I was led with the number. The number is what led me through my entire life. And there's a confidence I have that comes from knowing that my grandmother gave me. She was like a seer. She can, and I guess I have the gift from her. I never spoke about this on camera. So the numbers started popping up after she passed away. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm walking through the hallways, Mr. Honor Society. And I get tapped on the shoulder by this teacher who wasn't mine. He said, you will do really well in this program for interns. Even though it's for seniors, I think you would do really well in this program because you're great. And I was like, whatever, sir. Whatever, I'm just gonna do it. Long story short, here I am presenting in front of all these people. 15-year-old, talking so much shit. Didn't see Kimura and Russell, so I'm definitely winging this shit. Yeah. I don't care. Talking. I'm gonna be this when I grow up, and I'm gonna do this, and I see myself doing this, and I've done everything I've ever said I wanted to do. Step away, we got into groups with high school seniors to go into college, and the guy who I was grouped with, it was a group of people, it's like maybe 4 or 5 of us. I'm in this group with this guy, and he was stuttering. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you're not going to make me lose this competition because there's other teams.
Oh, because he's your team member.
To present. Yeah, I didn't know this guy. He was from another school.
Yeah.
And so I hijacked the presentation midway because he was stuttering. He was afraid to public speak.
Right.
I never was afraid to public speak. And so here I am. I said, oh, no. I jumped up, 15-year-old me, and was like, what he meant was, this is what she does. This is how much she wants to make. This is where she sees herself. This is her husband. This is what he does. And we won the presentation part. I'm a very strong fashion illustrator. That's my first language. My portfolios open when it was big. Remember the big portfolios you had to carry? It was on my table. People were walking around. And here comes this Asian lady named Christina Lee. Yeah. And she leans over and says, who drew this? And I'm like, me. Like I was sketching and I'm making eye contact, being rude, an asshole, a total fucking asshole.
Why did you feel that way?
I was an asshole.
Just because you were?
My grandmother passed away, so I didn't believe in nobody. I didn't care. I was like, I'm winging all this. I'm going to wing through my whole life. Yeah. I may not even do school like that. It was like, fuck everything. That was my girl. Yeah. My grandmother was my girl. So here I am. This woman comes over. She leans forward and goes, well, Kimura's looking for someone just like you. And you hear how silent that was? Because that was how everything felt in that moment. Yeah. And there was I'm about to cry. It's crazy because that was the moment when I knew there was something going on that I needed to tap into more. She wrote her name on someone else's card. She didn't even have her. She wasn't supposed to be there.
Wow, that's crazy.
She was brought to me.
I'm feeling like the goosebumps in that story. That's crazy.
And that was all she wrote.
Oh, well, it's not all she wrote. I mean, there's a lot more that
I was never gonna let anyone stop me from seeing the vision I have for myself.
So, what was your internship for?
The internship was just to work at Baby Fat.
Mm-hmm. And
I worked in the showroom. And I made sure the showroom, I had to interact with all these stylists. I didn't know what a stylist was. Right. So I met all these editors and stylists who would come in and pull all the runway pieces. And then I would have to package it and write it up. And I learned how to be extremely organized. And I met all these dope stylists. The things I met all the stylists who love me now, they all love me. Right. Because they knew me since I was a kid. And I was tenacious and focused and sharp. And that was when my wittiness and my very high functioning brain was applied to my vision for myself. And I never looked back.
And I guess it's obvious you attribute a lot of this to your grandmother.
Of course.
Grandmother ancestors looking out for you.
Absolutely.
So you never looked back, but what was the path like from there?
It was a lot of work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of.
But what exactly did you do specifically?
Separation.
Because obviously, anytime you have success, is sacrifice.
I believe that when you are destined to do something and you're prepared to receive it, no one could stop you.
It's amazing. I'm reading Rick Rubin's book right now.
Oh, really? I love Rick Rubin.
It's an amazing book, and it's for artists and creatives, and it talks about how, what you are is essentially a vessel that's taking your purpose from universe, God, however you want to take it, and you're the vessel that brings it to life. And having confidence in that.
Imagine if everyone stopped worrying about everybody else's business and got into their own business, the world would be a beautiful place. Because everyone's so busy like, oh, they're doing this, I can do that too. This is not meant for you. Mm-hmm. You can't work like this. People don't realize, like, I'm up at 4 a.m. Like, I'm a beast. Yeah. I'm a beast. So everyone who knows me knows that I'm that person. So now let me give you a full circle moment. Remember, I said I was the golden child. That's what they always called me. Yeah. So I was always the goody two-shoes. I was always up reading encyclopedias. I was always up studying. I was always up doing the most. Yeah. Because I knew there was something that was destined to do, and that I was going to do it. When it arrived, even though I let it go for a minute, it came right back to my lap, and I was not playing with people. Right. I'm not here to play with people. I have a goal. Well,
your goals have obviously, because as you achieve your goals, your next goal changes.
You evolve with it.
Absolutely. So
but it's still part of the big picture, because where I am now is where I saw myself when I was 15, 16, maybe even 13 years old.
That's amazing. And I feel sad for those that don't necessarily know their purpose yet.
Yeah. Well, if they stop worrying about everyone else's business, they will find their goal. If you think about, I'm a science fanatic, but if you think about the ratio of how hard it is to be conceived, you have a purpose. Mm-hmm. If you stop worrying about everyone else's, what everyone thinks or what they have to say about you or whatever.
Their trajectory versus yours.
Right. Yeah. You will find your lane and you will be able to stick to that lane, And I think I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have a family that nurtured that and that allowed me to understand, like, no matter what it was, as long as I'm a good person and that I put the work in, that I was going to be okay.
I think one of the most important things for parents to do is to nurture that confidence in their child. And I was listening to some NBA podcasts and talking about how, talking about Kobe and how Phil Jackson the first year didn't criticize. He let Kobe do whatever he wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And Brian Shaw, who was his teammate at the time, was saying he was getting his German Shepherd trained at the same time. And the trainer for the German Shepherd said, do not say no to anything the German Shepherd is doing. Let him gain confidence first. I'm thinking about one day I hope to have children. I have a niece and nephew.
We'll get some soon.
One day, we'll see. And, the approach of letting them grow their independence and feel that confidence first before you start.
Very important. That's what literally is what my family allowed. So I had the red encyclopedias in my living room growing up.
Who didn't?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Encyclopedia Britannica?
Crazy, right, all that. So whenever I had a question, my mom and my dad will say, go figure it out. Yeah. The no term didn't really exist for me, and I lived my life through that. Because it's no for you doesn't mean it has to be no for me. Right. Your reality has nothing to do with mine. If you choose to be mundane, if you choose to be average, if you choose to stay in that lane that you think you belong in, keep that over there.
Oh, trust me, I know. I mean, there's people that say no to anything that's not what community tells you. Like this podcast, we had someone said, it was like season 1. Someone was like, maybe you should consider dropping if it's not making you money. I'm like,
see, but that's the problem. Yeah. See, that's the problem that we have as human beings and as like in this society that we're in now with the social media. Oh, you are good, because now I'm gonna tell you another story. It's because when I first started, there was no one like me. There was no young, black, creative fashion designer, whatever you want to call me at that time. There was no one like me. And so when I was asking for help or trying to get like opportunities, it was impossible for them to fathom. And the only person who allowed that to happen was Kimura.
Okay.
Like, shout out to Kimura. I'm going to send this to you later. But she was the only one that, and everyone else who worked in that company, who allowed me to be the person that I am today. They understood the fact that I was a very young, smart, impressionable person, and that there was an opportunity here to mold someone's mind and to let them be.
Essentially, she's an extension of your family because your family did the same thing.
I mean, heck yeah. I mean, for real. And so if people, no one could play me, period. Because I've worked so hard. I think the work has been put into it. I have the creative abilities to take things to where I want to take it. And so when I left Baby Phat in 2008, and I went to, I did an apprenticeship with Ralph Rucci, and I had to relearn everything I thought I knew about fashion, because I was here at the top at fashion for hip hop, but that's nothing when it comes to couture and like real design. And so I had to learn how to use my hands and become another person, and I became another person. I reinvented myself at 23 years old.
So that was goal number 2, was doing high fashion
I wanted
couture?
to make a point, because there was a moment when there were no designers of color unless they were in hip hop. And so it wasn't my goal to do that. My goal was just to do what I wanted to do.
Right.
Period. And I wanted to have beautiful clothes. And so, period. And so here I am. I go and I learn the story behind really crafting and using my hands, which I didn't know I could do. I knew I could illustrate, but I had no idea that I could bead. I'm an amazing beader, which I didn't know I can like embroider and do that stuff with my hands. I had no clue. And I learned how to do that working at Ralph Rucci, whose showroom used to be like down the street in Soho. And so I was the only one who had a full-on career, who left their career and moved over to a whole nother world and started from the ground up, living off savings. Crazy.
Yeah, but you gotta take those risks sometimes.
I did. And so I trust the vision. I saw the numbers, 531, and I trusted myself.
How did you see those numbers in that?
They would just pop up. I would wake up at 5:31 a.m. or I would get a call at 5:30, and I would 31 or like this. The numbers, when the numbers show up, I see it and it's there. On my way here, it was here, so it was good.
Okay.
So I knew I was gonna talk my shit.
Yeah.
And so when I created my brand,
That was after Ralph Rucci.
Actually no, I did trend forecasting.
Yes.
After working for Ralph Rucci for about a year, I went to Paris and did tendance, right, and learned the art of trend forecasting.
Did you go to college?
Yeah, FIT.
FIT. So
I did a little bit of Brown, but Brown, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
We're gonna talk
But
about FIT.
you did FIT, and you also did. You educated yourself with these internships. And these,
Well, I was in art and design high school. It's a vocational school.
Yeah.
So I went into a college already having so much experience, so much.
Yeah.
And then coming from a creative family, it was just like, this is easy. So FIT, I did my associates and bachelor's.
What was your major there?
Fashion design and then fabric styling.
Okay.
Yeah, fabric styling was the BFA. And it allowed me to do trend forecasting, because fabric styling is about color and concepts and how you put visuals together to tell stories.
Right. Which
for
is
brands.
which is entirely
what
you.
I do.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So all of the magic is there if you start to look for the things that lead the way, is how I see it. I was born to do what I'm doing. I was always good in front of people throughout my entire life. I always had my own personal style. I also had this understanding of just like other realms for some reason. I don't know. And so
Speak on what you mean by that really quickly, so some people might not know what you're talking about.
Well, I don't know. I'm very spiritual. I pray a lot. I meditate. I try to keep my mind strong. And so I think the lineage of my grandparents, my grandmother, everyone allowed me to have that both religious and spiritual upbringing to make me the person that I am, which makes me the marvelous middle.
Essentially, that's giving you the space to be creative
Yes.
and to receive these creative ideas.
Downloads, I
Yeah,
call them.
that's I think that's what they mentioned in Rick Rubin's book.
Really? Yeah. I mean, duh, I know that book.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's funny because I wish I could. My goal is to one day write a book about my truth because Rick Rubin's a whole nother demographic.
Yeah.
But still speaks to the topic. I have always tried to be an advocate for someone who's come from, I'm from the Bronx. I'm from the hood in the Bronx. I'm not going to like be brand new and like fake. Coming from the Bronx and holding my own all my life, there's a whole nother story to be told. That's why I said, the art of knowing yourself, and you think back to when you were trying to be conceived, that's a whole journey already.
Yeah. Chris, how are we doing with the sound? We good? All right, just checking. I hear you pushing buttons. You really I really respected you embraced the Bronx when people want to be downtown.
There was no vision for people.
Nothing.
And so that was part of the vision. So there was a vision that was given to me. I say it was given because when I was a kid, I knew there was something more that people just was not seeing. And so I took the risk and did it. It's the risk part, right?
But being the first, right?
I'm always the first, which I used to say was a curse, but now I don't care. I don't care if people get it, because if you can't Google and look it up, then that's on you. I've been there, I've done it. I'm moving towards something else.
I did see a post you posted on, I think it was a reel on TikTok or Instagram where you showed what you've created and how these major designers kind of
absolutely.
From
the reason why this podcast is perfect timing is
Yeah.
because I'm becoming the person I said I was always going to become. And I'm not holding my tongue. I'm not holding back. And I don't care who gets offended because I've done the work. And you're going to give me my flowers and you're going to respect it. And if you didn't have vision 10 years ago, I'm going to show you proof that you didn't have the vision.
So tell me now, your vision. So we talked
We're still
about
in the vision.
I know you are, but I mean you're talking.
We're still in the vision.
Oh, well.
This is all part of the plan.
I love that. And I mean, this is part of the plan for me, and I couldn't think of a better person to have on a podcast for our first showing with the North Face. I know you had a great story to tell, and you're still writing your book.
Everything is still being written. The person that I have become over the last couple of years is tougher, way more self-assured, and I'm understanding exactly what I was born to do. I thought I knew before, but now that I'm alone, and I'm filling up the spaces that represents me in my own apartment, in my own space, and staying solitude into myself for long periods of time, I'm discovering exactly who I am.
Right.
And now that I'm entering that phase of, dare I say, manhood, I'm not playing games. I'm not holding back.
Right.
And I don't care what anyone has to say. I don't care if they understand it. I don't care if they agree with it.
Well,
The proof is in the process.
what phase were you in? We know about your phase up until trend forecasting, and after that, you started your own brand.
Yes, during. So I started my brand as a counter conversation around the minimalism that was happening back in like 2012 when everyone was like going through this recession situation. And I was like, that's whack.
Minimalism as the trend
It was a
that
whole
was happening.
normcore, like
Yes,
stripped down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not me. I love color and I love jewelry and I love sparkle and I love abundance. I'm going to focus my brand and make it about streetwear and maximalism.
So essentially kind of going against the grain of what everyone's
The complete
going.
opposite.
Yeah.
To prove a point for myself, because I knew there was something more that was more enchanted than what was being presented to the world. If people keep referencing the same mundane things, just like an algorithm, you're not going to see and discover new things. And
Right.
I think that's where we're in that phase. And I kept saying, this is what's going to happen. If you're not going to look outside the algorithm, you're going to just be fed the same
There's
low-level content, information, styling choices, celebrity XYZs, over and over and over, music over and over again.
Yeah, it's sad.
And y'all can stay in that algorithm, but there's a whole nother world off that that you're missing, and I choose to be a part of that. That's why I really have been deleting followers,
I saw that.
deleting the people removing them from my following. If you haven't interacted with me,
how are you going to do that? You have almost 1 million followers.
and I've been waking up. If you've seen, I've dropped down maybe 30,000.
Really?
If I haven't seen you interact, or if you like a bot.
Yeah, there's a way to do that automatically with a bot.
Listen, I don't care. I'd rather look and click and know that you're gone.
Yeah.
And if you decide to come back, then that's cool. But right now, it's not about that. I don't care. I don't know what happened to me during that process.
When did this process? This happened while you were creating your own brand last couple of months. So we were talking about a process that took place
now with the brand,
with your brand, right?
So with the fashion brand, what started the conversation around the fashion brand was the lack of, and so my brand is over 10 years old now, which is wild.
Yeah.
I'm still here, and I haven't even gotten started, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
My brand has always been about tailoring, abundance, this kind of a spirituality kind of undertone that's there, but glamour. Glamour is very, very important. And so I lead with that. I lead with this idea of sparkle and shine and color and like maximalism and very potent designs, the things that are very, very heavily beaded. But then the level behind it is spirituality. Mm-hmm. And that's why the brand is called 531, which is the time that's been leading me my entire career.
And that started, is it 2013 or so?
2013 is when I started.
Nice. And so since then, you've done more than just a brand.
I was sold in Dover Street Market when people didn't understand it. That same year, I went to Barney's and Jeffrey's same day, and they were confused because they were like, okay, we love you. We think you're so great. 2013. You're so great. But you don't have any like endorsements when like we don't know how it's gonna do. Okay. So I gave up, second season, I gave up. And I decided to bring my coat over to the Carter's home through my friend who was a stylist for Beyonce at the time. I said, listen, she can wear what she wants. I don't care about this stuff. No one's telling her to wear it anymore. And so basically, me handing it over, she wore it the next day, twice in one day. I went viral. The same coat and items that they were not paying attention to. Yeah. Those brands, they were reaching out to me to purchase. They wanted to buy the items that she was then wearing the next day. The same ones that ignored you. And I declined, and I went direct to consumer using Instagram.
Yeah, we spoke about that in Sardinia. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was in 2013. Mm-hmm. That was before this whole market thing. No, I went direct to consumer. People were asking about the coat. It was $1,200, which is, it should have been way more than that. Yeah. I just wanted to sell it, and I did. We made money.
And was that what kind of set you on your path to where you are now with your brand?
Yeah, I started using social media to tell my story. So I'm gonna do a quick speed up. Beyonce wore it twice in one day. I went viral, and all these followers came in. Then I landed an opportunity with Samsung. There was a vision I knew that was gonna happen. I said, I'm gonna work for Samsung because everyone's looking at iPhone.
Yeah, against the grain again.
Right. Yeah. They reached out to me because I pulled them to me. Yeah. And then I became the face of Samsung. And people was like, oh my God, why would you do that? Well, I got paid really well. Yeah. And I love the phone because I didn't care about an iPhone at the time. Yeah. And so I was the international face of Samsung. I was in magazines, commercials, everything, because one, it goes back full circle again. The way I speak, the way I look, the level of talent. They were like, oh my God, we love you. Boom. They filmed it in my apartment.
And your presence.
And thank you. Yeah. So boom, that was one thing. That led me to have other opportunities. That's how I found the opportunity in the Bronx to create my own store. Boom. I applied for the CFDA, which is the Vogue Fashion Fund. I was not acknowledged because they didn't understand where I sat in that time. Boom. Okay, whatever. Speed this up. I created a store for emerging designers. So all the designers that we love now, I'm not going to say any names, they know, you know who you are, and all the artists too, they all were put into my store because I wanted to make a point. And then my store went viral, which sparked this movement in the South Bronx.
Yeah.
right?
You mean what they call now is Sobro? Which I hate
which
that.
is crazy. But yeah, but
that
the thing is,
nickname.
when I was doing it, no one was looking at the Bronx.
Yeah.
I wanted people to come to it and not through it.
Yeah.
And so my store became a hub and a mecca, there, if in the sense of the word, to spark the conversation around what the Bronx can bring to the table.
Right.
Which is a vision I had that landed me on the New York Times cover. I've been in the New York Times 16 times.
16. I thought it was 6, but 16 times.
And my mom had one that was from the Afrofuturism conversation.
Yeah.
I just read it in the car. I was like, oh my, I was screaming. And I have it, I can show you. I just was screaming in the car. Like, oh wow, I didn't see this.
Right.
Long story short, I'm on my own path. And if people are willing to come with me and discover new, cool, creative concepts along the way and feel cool and be intertwined in the conversation, then so be it.
Mm-hmm.
If not, you can stick to all the regular stuff that's out there.
Right.
I don't have nothing else to prove.
Right.
I've proven I can die walking out this building today and be good.
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
I mean, we don't want that to happen. I don't foresee that.
Yeah.
I don't foresee that. But the story is I've done everything I said I was going to do and more, and I'm just getting started.
And I like now that I can see the journey of how you got to where you are. But I want to ask you about you personally now.
Go ahead.
What do you do for fun?
Sleep.
Sleep. You do more for fun. I got a great time to spend a week with you on one of the outsider ships in Sardinia.
I'm quite simple. You see how simple I am.
And I remember waking up, I'd get my workout in, and the only other person I would see up was you, and you'd be in the water for like 2 hours, just like soaking in the Mediterranean. I mean, that place is paradise on earth. It was interesting to see how you moved, and obviously you took time to create space for yourself on that trip. That wasn't obviously you weren't working, so it was nice to see that and give me reassurance on how I approach my path of giving myself the space and the time so that I start the day on my terms. I do things in that way.
You have to.
Absolutely.
You don't have to follow anyone's narrative but your own.
I mean, honestly, I obviously don't.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, it was a great trip. I loved it. And I learned a lot about myself too. It was my birthday trip too. So it was something I've never thought I would experience. And
that was a good birthday celebration too.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you for also, you kind of styled me a bit on that trip.
Oh yeah,
with that Loewe shirt.
This one was wearing a Loewe shirt.
That shirt was nice.
A Howells Moving Castle collaboration Loewe brand new silk shirt.
Yeah, and I put that.
I never
Mario
wore
took
it.
some great photos. I put that on my dating apps, and I got compliments on it.
Let's get it. Let's get you some babies. Get you some babies.
You gotta give me a girlfriend first.
We'll get that. We'll work on that. We'll work on that.
So what are your? I know this is gonna be a loaded question, so try to keep this as simple as you might be able to.
Okay.
But what are
I'm long-winded.
your next goals and dreams? Like, what's the next step for you, or maybe the overall bigger picture, if you can describe that.
Big picture for me, the Style Monk is reintroducing the fashion brand at another level, showing more tailoring, more ideas. Also, TV. Hopefully,
I saw you on JJ's show.
Yeah, isn't
that was
cool?
great. It was great to see.
That was last year, so I forgot all about it and to see it.
Was it from last year?
Yeah, I don't wear wigs anymore.
Was it airing recently?
Yeah, it just aired like last week.
Yeah. Okay, that was great to see you guys on there.
So from TV to writing books, like I want to write a book. I want to tell the full story and
Autobiography.
I don't know if it's, I guess it could just be, I don't know, a tool book or something that's going to give examples, or I don't know what it is yet, but something that's going to help people to discover that there's another level they could tap into.
I really enjoy anecdotal business books.
Yeah.
That's what I enjoy. So I think given your stories, you could teach lessons through your stories.
Yeah. Exactly.
That'd be great.
Hopefully something happens. We don't know, but I see it.
Yeah. When people say manifest it, it's important to do that, but you can't just manifest.
And manifesting is not just manifesting, right? You got to work towards it, and you have to. I'm gonna say something. I know it's like short of time, but manifesting is not just visualizing. Manifesting is adding a feeling to that visual that you hold within your mind to make it into an actual memory that you hold on to while you're progressively moving forward to that vision for yourself.
Yeah.
That was a download.
That
That was a total download just now.
That goes in the teaser reel. I think.
That is important.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think it goes, if you have that feeling, you have the knowing of how you're going to achieve that. Right. So yeah, I agree. This is an interesting question because I think you may not tell you. The question is, what advice would you give high school you? But you kind of seem like you were knowledgeable and knew. Yeah.
High school, note to high school Jerome is to enjoy life a little more. I was very serious. Like I said, I was an asshole. I was focused on school and achieving the vision.
Yeah.
I was popular in school, ironically. I was so popular. We had a 20-year reunion. I was like, oh, wow, like, I'm still that girl. You know what I mean? But it's so crazy because I wasn't very present, even though I was at the time, but I wish I was more present and did more wild, crazy high school things. I was so focused on the bigger vision that I had for myself. So I would say just enjoy the ride.
Okay. Maybe be more present.
Be more present, take in all the experiences you can, and enjoy the ride. Meaning, like, you're in high school.
Be a teenager. We had a conversation
do the dumb
like that.
things. I didn't do any of the dumb things.
Yeah, we had a conversation with Jordan Taylor about that when she was interviewing here, because she was a pop artist, so she was doing all everything she had to do to achieve that goal, but she missed out on being a teen. You know,
I feel like that's kind of what happened to me.
Yeah.
President in school, and then like, okay. Yeah. Prom, all this stuff. But I did prom, I did all of that.
Yeah.
And I was popular. But what I wish I did was be a little more, just sillier, just younger, just
I feel like
freer.
You bring that into your life now.
I'm having
which
fun
keeps you
now.
youthful.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, thank you.
Hold on to that. Okay, so being that we are on this podcast and we're luckily partnered up with the North Face, I have some questions about exploration for you. So in your life now, how do you incorporate exploration? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the outdoors, but obviously we would love to hear about that. But first, let's talk about exploration in general.
Well, I guess it goes hand in hand because what I do is I run. I'm a runner.
Okay.
And the running is my moving meditation. When the last couple of weeks when I was like going through some kind of mental thing, I had to get out the house and get my ass up to run again, whether it's on a treadmill or some miles. The other day I walked.
Walking
I walked 14 miles.
Chris walks nonstop.
I know I'm a big dude, but I do walk about 12 miles a day doing street photography around the city.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's such a great way to explore yourself and everything else around you.
Yeah. The great part about it is you can walk a block probably 3-4 times in a week, and every single time you're going to see something totally different that you didn't see the last time.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And being outside,
I love New York.
New York is the great. Listen, it is the greatest city in the world. I'm sorry.
I agree.
It's so great.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, then, in that regard, how do you explore and continue to foster a love for the outdoors? Because, before the Sardinia trip, I would have assumed you would never do a hike or never be outside. But no. I saw when we did that hike out there, and then when we were. Like I said, every morning you were out in the water. So that is nature. Like
I love nature.
Yeah.
This is so crazy. My entire brand, now this is the big picture thing that we were talking about.
Yeah.
If you look at my brand and what I always spoke about in the press, it was always about nature from the very beginning.
And what aspect of nature? From
the shoes that was made of grass and was talking about fertile. And when I had the first presentation in 2013, it was meant to be about fertile, like foundation. So the ground was green and the shoes were grass. I can show you pictures. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And about flowers and blooming. And then the next season was about the woods. And it was golden and like this idea of like growing. So the next thing was about the desert and the sand.
Can you get him some pictures? We could probably throw it.
I can send. Yeah, I'm gonna show you all. I have all of them.
Okay.
And then the next season was about the tropics.
So you got inspired by
my world has always been about nature.
Yeah,
it has always been about nature. But I never talk about it because people are. I don't think eco needs to be hempy. Eco could be glamorous, darling. And so I never speak. I let people see who wants to look. I want them to see for themselves. But now after 10 years, I can speak to it in a very high level way.
Totally understand and relate to that because I don't think the outdoors needs to be granola and white. I think it can be fun and
have flavor.
It's nature's the new nightclub. That's what I say.
It is. And it's funny because it's like, if people start, I want that sweatshirt.
I got you. Took him a second, but he just
I want that sweatshirt. It's very important. I actually got to give you another thing too for my sweatshirt. It's very important for people to understand, like, we're living on spaceship Earth.
Yeah.
Like, and if we don't take care of that and cultivate it, we're going to be dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows how many civilizations came and died before us?
Yeah.
We only know what we know. But if we don't cultivate what we have now, we're going to lose. Yeah. And so actually when I'm going to be showing soon, and in September. And I'm making it a very tight collection. Mm-hmm. Speaking to the conversation around productivity. Why are we producing all these pieces and people are not buying it? Why are we wasting away fabrics and all this other stuff that's destroying our planet? So I'm not gonna sit here and say that I love fur. I'm not gonna front. Okay, I know it's bad, but listen. I'm not the one killing the fur. I'm not the one killing it. But the thing is, I believe that beautiful things can exist, but it could be done eco and done in a really cool way. And I think that's just kind of always been my thing.
Okay. We're going to get some fun questions now.
Yeah.
I love this question. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Most embarrassing moment was... My most embarrassing moment was when I'm obsessed. I used to be obsessed with Pharrell Williams. Mm-hmm. He had a movie premiere, and he's right here where the mic is. And here I am walking, and my friend reaches over to tap him and go, "Oh, you had a good movie." And Pharrell turns to me and gives me the eye contact, and I go, and I said, he just said, and walked and turned around and kept walking. And I was so embarrassed. That was the most embarrassing. Pharrell, I can speak, okay? I'm so embarrassed by that.
You speak very well.
He's like the only person that was like an idol for me. So I've met everyone.
That's hilarious.
From Jay-Z to Beyonce, everyone. Rihanna, I met everyone. But for some reason,
have you met him since?
No.
That's embarrassing.
That was in 2017, and or 2018, one of those things. Yeah. It was so embarrassing because I remember saying to myself, "Bitch, get it together. It's too late, though. You know what I mean? It's too late."
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the most embarrassing.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a unique story. We've got a variety. I'm not gonna get into them now, but we've had a bunch of great embarrassing stories. Is there anything that I have not asked you that you want to share about yourself?
Why are you being so deep? I don't know.
It doesn't have to be deep.
I think most people think that it's one way when they meet me, but it's a completely opposite. I'm not what people think. It's more complex. It's more deep, more profound.
What is this common misconception?
Oh, Miss Thing, honey, baby. Oh, honey, girlfriend. You are so fab. Don't approach me that way.
Right.
Don't approach me that way.
I promise you I won't.
This is for everybody else.
Yeah.
But people, I guess a lot of people are discovering that side. That, like, just because I look a certain way doesn't mean I speak a certain way or that I carry myself a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. But that's just not me.
Well, lesson learned from this conversation is you go against the grain. So preconceived notions of you're probably going to be the other way, the opposite. So you don't want to be falling to a stereotype.
Listen, I don't know about stereotypes per se. I just know that that's just not who I am as a person. I'd prefer you to approach me like a human being, not an object, not an idea, not a preconceived concept that you have in your mind of how a person of color, queer, whatever I am, to you. Right. That's just not how you should approach me. Treat me like a human being. How would you approach, I don't know, how would you approach Gandhi or one of those other amazing, or Albert Einstein, or those are my favorite people, Nikola Tesla. Those are people that I'm obsessed with. Those people, like I feel like I'm a fusion of like Andre 3000 and David Bowie and Prince and Nikola Tesla and Walt Disney. the Walt Disney before all the crazy stuff.
Right.
He was a dreamer. He had a vision for the future, you know? You know what I mean? And I mean, I am definitely a futurist. And that's how I prefer you to approach me.
You know, I've asked that question, and a lot of people just don't have an answer, but that's probably been the most informative answer I've ever gotten. So I appreciate you sharing that, and that's a valuable piece of information for anyone who sees Jerome out there and wants to introduce themselves.
And I'm an approachable person. I'm fun.
Very, yeah.
I'm not a diva, but I think that's what people expect. I mean, I'm wearing labels, okay? And doesn't make me who I am. It's just armor or clothes that help tell a story of how I feel for the day.
Right.
It doesn't.
And your look changes a lot, like we discussed earlier.
That's part of my superpower.
Yeah. Yeah, I respect that. All right, so last segment of the show is a series of 5 rapid fire questions. So just whatever comes to mind first.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, what's your favorite city other than New York City?
Japan, Tokyo.
Tokyo? I love Tokyo. I've been there four times. What's so special about Tokyo for you?
They embraced me before I even knew what it meant to be embraced. They would fly to New York and take pictures of me on the street in Soho. They would like find me, send letters to me or whatever, and they would literally take pictures of me. And I'm in all these Japanese magazines. So when I finally landed there, I felt like a freaking divine being.
I love Tokyo. And the food,
They
the people,
loved me.
culture, it's amazing. If you could do any other profession, what would you do?
I love physics. I love science. I love the idea of talking about the quantum realm. I kind of feel like I tap into it when I'm seeing things. So I would be in physics.
Okay.
A scientist.
That's interesting. I never would have assumed that. I don't know what I would have assumed, but yeah.
But that's like my thing.
What's your vice?
My vice. See, can I say that? Because I don't know if I want to say that.
Let's hear it.
Porn.
Really? That's actually
I'm human, baby.
A reasonable vice.
It's a vice, honey. But
Really?
I've been doing really good.
Jerome,
I've been doing really good.
I'm proud of you.
Okay?
What made
really
you realize?
good, and
I'm not going to ask those questions. We'll leave that
I'm
question.
well, here's the thing. I'm not having sex. You know,
Right.
I'm not on the apps.
Right.
I'm not doing any of these things. And so, like, it became a vice.
Right.
And now that I'm actually wielding myself off of it, which is really amazing. I'm thinking so clear. I feel like if you would have wanted to do this conversation a few months ago, I would have been like, but now I feel so poised and so clear.
Why are you not dating right now?
I'm waiting for the right person. I've been in a relationship, and it was a really good relationship. I fucked it up. But now I want to, and I've had tons of like, stupid things I've done. But right now, I'm just waiting for the right person to find me. And whoever that is, they'll have me.
You and me both.
That's it.
The last question is, what is your favorite food? I know you brought something.
Yeah.
It's not your
It's grapes.
favorite meal, but it's got a story behind it. So I want to hear what the story is behind these grapes.
So, funny story. This is why I believe in so much. I almost ate everything on my way over here, just FYI. My mom craved grapes
When
she was pregnant with me.
Gotcha.
So she ate grapes all the time. The funny part is, I was born with a birthmark on my waist that looks like grapes. And grapes have always been my favorite meal since I was a child.
Really?
That's why, I love grapes.
You mentioned another meal that you thought would be better.
And I love pasta.
Yeah.
Pappardelle. And shortbread.
That's your favorite pasta?
I'm not bringing that here. That's messy.
Yeah. We had
But grapes are cute.
yeah, the grapes are easier for sure. I appreciate you telling that story.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing.
No, grapes really are my favorite. It's like candy.
Specifically green grapes?
For some reason, yeah.
Yeah,
like
I prefer green grapes too.
Yeah. My mom always told me the story. And she was like, you loved grapes. Like, I used to cut it in half and you would just say gapes.
Grapes.
And so, and I realized, like, wow, I really do always have grapes in my apartment. I'm always eating grapes when I'm sewing or
Yeah.
beating or drawing, I'm popping grapes in my mouth. Or if not, raisins. I know it's so. I'm such an old
dried
person for
grapes, basically.
It's so old. I'm
Yeah.
an old person. It was a rage.
Yeah. I mean,
But
prunes would
it's
be
prunes
OD.
are old. But grapes are my baby. They're my favorite.
Nice. Well, do you have anything else you want to share with us? You said
Shout out to you
appreciate you.
and the outsiders.
Yeah.
This is really fire. Thanks
this
for
is-
having me on and allowing me to.
No, I mean,
Talk my
I
talk.
appreciate you being the first guest in our new setup.
Yeah, I like it.
And telling a great story, entertaining, giving us a peek in the real Jerome, see what your life is about and how you got to where you are. All these events that transpired to bring you to the path you're on now, and all these wonderful downloads you've had that you shared with us.
More to come.
I hope so, and looking forward to having more. Got to shout you out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the North Face for hosting us, and tune in to the next episode. First one.